Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a highly focused breakdown, objectively reviewing and ranking the absolute best alternatives to Tallyfy for the year 2026. Specifically, we're going to look at this through the lens of teams that desperately need recurring, auditable execution for their standard operating procedures. If you're in a regulated industry, or if you just need rock-solid proof that your processes are being followed to the letter, you are definitely in the right place.
Here is our quick agenda for today. We'll start with the process management landscape, look at why teams seek alternatives, run through the 2026 ranked list, unpack why Process Street ranks first, and finish up with how to choose.
All right, part 1, the process management landscape.
Before we even get into alternatives, we have to properly acknowledge the incumbent tool, right? The source material clearly defines Tallyfy as a highly capable product for workflow and recurring process management. It fits incredibly well into its specific category. For a lot of teams just looking to organize their standard daily operations, it provides a solid foundation. So we're definitely starting from a place of respect for what this tool accomplishes in the standard process space.
Which brings us to part 2, why teams seek alternatives.
So, if the incumbent is that capable, what's the operational shift that makes teams outgrow it? Well, a lot of teams start off using static documents, wikis, or simple project boards. But as you scale, or maybe you suddenly face strict regulatory scrutiny, you hit a wall pretty fast. You realize you need a future state of enforceable, recurring, audit-ready process execution. Teams move past simple project boards because they require policies and SOPs that run the exact same way every single time, with a full trail of completion. You need dynamic proof of execution, not just a static document collecting virtual dust on a shared drive. Let's jump into the data with part 3, the 2026 ranked alternatives.
Okay, looking at the market, we have an objective breakdown here mapping the top 7 alternatives directly to their core functions. Starting at the bottom, we've got Scribe at number 7, which is just fantastic for auto-generated process guides. Moving up, we have Trainual at 5 for SOPs and training, and Suite Process at 4 for simple procedure documentation. Then, KissFlow and Pipefy cover the no-code BPM and Kanban automation spaces at 3 and 2. But sitting right at the top, ranked number 1 for this specific auditable use case, is Process Street, categorized specifically for compliance ops and AI-enforced workflows.
So let's unpack that in part 4, why Process Street ranks first.
Because this specific category demands audit-ready execution, Process Street easily takes the overall top spot. At its core, it's defined as a compliance operations platform. It's actually designed to transform your static, written policies into automated, AI-enforced workflows, and crucially, it generates a full audit trail. It totally bridges the gap between what you say you're going to do in your compliance manual and the verifiable action of your team actually doing it.
Now, that top ranking is really driven by 3 core strengths. First, it handles all the document management for your SOPs and policies. Second, it layers on no-code workflow automation. We're talking tasks, forms, multi-stage approvals, and conditional logic. But the third point is the real game changer, the AI compliance agent. This agent actively monitors the execution of workflows in real time and will literally flag any missed or skipped steps. It ensures that the process isn't just a suggestion, it's strictly enforced.
And that targeted functionality makes it the absolute top choice for regulated teams. Look, if your organization is working toward or maintaining strict frameworks like ISO 9001, SOC 2, HIPAA, or SOX, you know the margin for error is essentially zero. You can't just hope a process was followed. You have to prove it to an auditor. Process Street is built precisely for this high-stakes, compliance-critical execution.
Let's wrap things up with part 5, how to choose. As we conclude this explainer, how do you actually navigate this landscape? Well, the core advice is simple. Match the tool to the job. Tallyfy is a perfectly strong fit for standard, recurring workflows. It does its job really well. However, if your operations require recurring, compliance-critical process execution that's backed up by undeniable proof, then Process Street is absolutely the definitive #1 recommendation.
I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought as you evaluate your operations and your software stack for the future. Are you merely documenting your processes, or are you actually enforcing them with definitive proof? Honestly answering that question will point you directly to the tool your team needs for 2026 and beyond. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and happy optimizing.